This is the Finesse Media Podcast, Season 3.
What's up? Welcome back. Another episode of Finesse Media Podcast, Season 3. And just like I mentioned at the top of the show, man, we got a great guest coming on. Somebody that's been finessing the game for so many years, I would say. And definitely somebody who I look towards, look high up to in the realm of Phi Beta Sigma. So without further ado, man, I definitely want to welcome to the Finesse Media Podcast for the first time, my friend, brother, Mr. Kevin Davis. What's up, bro?
Blue 5?
Blue 5, bro. That's exactly. But we'll get into all that stuff, man.
Yes, sir.
We definitely hold it down at the headquarters for the fraternity, man. So to have you on is a good time. And again, we're gonna relax, man, and chop it up. It's been a while since I've seen you, so to see you right now, it's a good time to see you. So how things been going, man?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. It's been kind of hectic work-wise. You know, I'm in healthcare, so you can imagine how my year has been dealing with the pandemic and making sure people still get in, see their video. Where'd you go, Ken?
No. Oh, I'm still right here.
There you go. I was like, I thought I lost connection. But no, it's just, like I said, it was just been kind of hectic work-wise, dealing with the pandemic, you know, here in Chicago, and making sure people still get out to get to their appointments, and making sure our staff are safe. And just from a communication standpoint, it's been off the chain. But other than that, man, I've been pretty good.
That's super dope, man. So again, good to have you on this episode. And you're also a podcaster, man, too. So definitely been checking out your podcast. And I might get this wrong. I have my notes here, but it's the League. Tell the people the name of the podcast.
The League of Leaders.
The League of Leaders. Okay, I didn't want to butcher it up, man. So the League of Leaders. Let's talk about that podcast, man, because I've checked out a couple of episodes, and thank you for the shout out that you've given me on one of the episodes. So tell our listeners about that platform and what made you start the League of Listeners.
So the League of Leaders is a podcast where I pull in professionals that have achieved some level of leadership and success in their career. And I came up with that idea because in looking around for different podcasts, I wanted to learn from other folks, other Black folks, but it's not that many of us out there with podcasts that are telling our stories. And me being a creative person, I always know how to do it. And one of my homegirls was like, you know how to do it. You know a bunch of people. What are you waiting for? Just do it yourself. And so essentially we bring people on to talk about their success now. You know, even if someone's a director or VP or something, and I may just be a director or senior manager, I can learn something about their journey. And I'm hearing about it when it's relatively new, when it's still kind of hot now. Typically what happens is you hear from these people when they're 50 and 60 years old. And it's like, that was a great story. That was a whole lifetime ago. I can't take any of what you told me and apply it to my career. So it's really just pulling some dope folks around, telling their stories, talking about success, talking about failure, hopefully to motivate other people, give some other tips. Because I'm tired of being the first Black man in my role or the only Black person in the department. But that starts from having those conversations around leadership, how to get ahead, how to open doors. And so that's what I hope that the podcast does, is just provide insight and help jog some new thoughts and ideas on how to advance professionally or as an entrepreneur.
No, that's dope, man. And congratulations on 1,000 downloads. That's super huge. I know you got that last month, so that's 1K plus, I'm sure now, man. So you've had a successful. Is your season still going on, or are you still?
We're pausing right now. Yep.
Okay.
So we're in between seasons right now. So I'm just kind of resting, kind of chilling a little bit, and then I'll start recording later on this month for season 2.
Yeah, because I haven't seen it. I'm like, am I missing it? You know, the algorithm is crazy. So you got to go to the page, and I'm a true supporter. So I'm like, if I don't see it, I'm going to the page. It's kind of like an entertainment industry. You're not seeing people on TV like, oh, she ain't doing shit. But she really is, or he is really doing things behind the scenes. So I go to your stuff because I want to make sure I'm not missing it, man. So that's good. Shout out to you and, in your successful season. But being a podcast host, a full-time, entrepreneur, by which we'll get more deep into with Crush, because I want to know more about the Crush magazine. When I met you, you were working on that, and I also want to kind of jump back into some of the old stuff that we did at Target, working there, and right. So with being all these different things. The more important and the biggest role for you, man, is being a dad. So you got the two
Yeah.
boys and the little one.
Yep.
How are the kids, man?
Well, the kids, the oldest just turned 20 in August.
Goddamn. Goddamn.
My middle son, he graduated from high school this past year, and my daughter's 3. So I got the spectrum. That's right. You know, her little artwork right there in the corner.
Oh, that's super dope. That's super dope.
Mm-hmm.
And shout out to your wife, Ruth, man, who is dope as hell.
Yeah.
Makeup extraordinaire too. So she's someone that I would say that's finessing the game as well.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it, man. So on your platform that you did with Crush Media, is that still something you're working on with the Crush Media brand?
Yep. So I rebranded back in 2014 and just named it Kevin Davis brand. Because I wanted to make sure that people associated me with what I did, which was marketing and design. And through Crush Media Group, that required you to kind of drive in 2 different lanes. And so it made sense when it was myself and 2 other partners, but then they went on to do their own different things. So it was just me. And I said, well, if it's just me, why don't I just put my name on it? And so I wanted to brand myself. And that's where it kind of went into this reinvention mode back in about 2014, rebranded Crush Media Group as Kevin Davis brand. So that way you look up my name, you automatically see my business. You see everything about me once you see my name, just a matter of continuity and consistency.
That's what's up. No, you were crushing it, like literally.
That's right.
Crushing it. Literally crushing it, man, and doing so many different things. And when I met you in 2010, and this is how I met Kevin, well, in person, because a true testament of brotherhood, and we transition into this brotherhood.
Yes, yeah.
We transition into this brotherhood conversation. So for those that's watching and listening, prepare yourself, because I'll tell you, Phi Beta Sigma, I wore my shirt for you tonight, Fred, because when I met Kevin virtually, good dude, dope dude. But the first time I met him was because of opportunity that was given. So I was just graduating or had just graduated from the University of Arkansas, Pine Bluff, came back to Chicago, reached out to Kevin and said, hey, man, I need a gig. And so I literally tell people, you saved my life, because honest to goodness, my mom was telling me, yo, if you don't do nothing, which is really odd because I had just graduated, but she's like, if you don't do nothing, you're going to get put out. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what to do. So I'm scrambling for stuff. And so I reached out to Kevin. And when I reached out to you, you go, hey, I'm working at Target and I'm overnight, and I'm going to give your information over to the hiring manager who works the night shift. And true as his name is Kevin Davis, at about 10:30 the following night, Kevin calls me and go, hey, remember I told you I'll get on the phone or get your resume to her? Here is her on the phone. And the lady got on the phone and goes, hey, you need a job and you can come down and apply, or if you had already applied, I'll pull your resume. Yeah. And less than a week, man, I was working alongside at Target with you, man, which was a cool experience. So I thank you, and I'll publicly say this, thank you, because it really did save my life. And from that moment of now meeting you in person, we had so many intellectual conversations about Phi Beta Sigma and the vision that we wanted for this fraternity. And it's just amazing, dude. Like now 10 years later, your name rang praises in the fraternity, where when I say Kevin Davis, they go, yeah, I know who he is. And I go, you know, this is a cat that I work with, a true brother. So how has it been? It's a couple of questions I want to ask you about your input in Phi Beta Sigma in terms of the branding and doing what you do. But how has it been working at the international headquarters, man, making a true mark? I would say you have.
Well, I'll get there in a second. I want to back up to what you just mentioned about Target, because I forgot that we had met. I forgot how we got connected. And what I want to stress, and I just had a conversation, just led a workshop on this the other day for the fraternity on personal branding. And what you said was, when you reached out to me, we had a conversation, and sometimes you just know a path that somebody's on. They just need to get where they are at that moment. They'll figure it out. But being a person that words somebody's trustworthy, I'm not a person that just puts my name out there for anybody. And so it's nothing for me to then say, you know what, I have an opportunity. Let me hook you up. Let me make that connection for you in there. But more importantly, it was you reaching out to me. That a lot of people don't do that. They don't just, reach out to who they need to, or put the need out there. I need a job.
I needed it bad, brother.
And funny thing is, because when I moved here, I had my business, but all my clients were in Detroit. And so I had to go there, and it was not what I wanted to do. but it was what I had to do. It was getting married and all of that stuff. So I knew my situation going into the door, and then I got promoted. And so when I had the opportunity to bring somebody else in, it's like, somebody needs something, I got you if I have the opportunity. But more importantly than that is you came in and there was nothing that you did that made me look bad. You know what I'm saying? And it was just a matter of, we went in there, we had some good times, we had some fun, we fooled, and just turned it into a party for the most part.
Yeah, it was.
Because we had to, because it was terrible. It was terrible, one of the worst jobs I had, but it was one of the best jobs I had in terms of learning about people and their motivations. But to bring it back forward, so I've been on the international board for Sigma since 2017. And for me, it was great I got appointed in Detroit, in my hometown at Conclave, Detroit. So to be able to get put in the office in your home city, that was dope.
No, hella dope.
It was dope. And, to me, it was, it's kind of like a culmination of everything I wanted. I've been in design since I've been a kid, and been a Sigma. It's 18 years this year. And I always knew that there was something more that we can do with our marketing and branding of the organization. And so back in 2012, I started a little side group of designers and brand folks. We were secretly designing everything for the fraternity, but we was moving in silence. So a couple people started to notice. And then that's when Michael Crystal was like, I know we don't know each other, but I've seen how you've been moving. And I think what you can do can help us move fraternity forward. And so 2017 put me in place. And what we needed to do was establish some brand standards for the fraternity. But more importantly, I had to put together a plan that we could roll out to the chapters around the world. Get the brothers motivated and get them behind it and support it. And that was an interesting experience. I've done some similar things like that at UIC when I worked there, which had 10,000 employees, and North Park University, which only had maybe 800 employees. But then to go into the fraternity, it's got chapters all around the world, and they're not employees. They're members who joined in different eras under different circumstances and all of that. And to have me at the helm of that, like, it was humbling, and it still is. They pulled me back in for the second term. I said, I got you. And it's been dope. I've been traveling around, the country, doing a little tour, talking to brothers, listening to them and hearing them. But more importantly, being trusted enough to handle the phone calls when they come in from like BET or Essence or Ralph Lauren, all of that stuff. Right. And they like, Kev,
gonna ask you about that.
Yeah. And they're like, Kev's got it. And to me, that's a testament. And I mentioned on my call the other day, if you're in a fraternity or sorority or any kind of organization, find a way to make it benefit you professionally, and then bring those talents back to the organization, because that's what the organization did with me in 2002 when I joined and I lost my job. They poured into me and hired me to do the work for them. And so when I got on my feet, I did all the work for the fraternity. So for me, it's been a give and take the entire 18 years that I've been in. Yep.
Yeah. And you mentioned the Ralph Lauren's thing. Talk to our listeners about that partnership. For those that don't know, Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated has partnered with the great Ralph Lauren's brand, but on a more strategic approach. I don't think it has anything to do necessarily with clothing. So talk to us about that recent partnership, because I know, as you mentioned, you had your hand a part of that. So congratulations to you on that sweet thing as well. But do tell more about it.
I'm trying to think at the highest level. Essentially, our two parties got brought together because our letters were used on a pair of their pants that they were selling over in Europe. And the fraternity letters and our emblems and shields and seals, they're all trademarked. So it became an intellectual property or a trademark infringement situation. So we met with them and said, we are not interested in going to court. We see this as a way to partner together. And they saw it as an opportunity to partner together on some opportunities where we can be a change agent when it comes to retail and fashion, particularly in a luxury space. How do they then understand, or I guess raise their level of cultural competency when it comes to Black folks specifically, not people of color, not washing us under that acronym, but specifically Black folks, and specifically for Greek life, fraternity sororities. It was a foreign concept to me when we met. We met with them for the first time back in February at their headquarters in New York, and it was a great discussion. And from there, we have a number of partnerships that you'll probably hear about pretty soon. We're doing some things up at our conclave in Myrtle Beach next year. And then we're also working on some other opportunities right now with some more educational, in the educational realm. So we're looking to be a change agent when it comes to higher education, building community between PWIs and HBCUs as it relates to the business of retail. So we got some dope stuff in the works right now with them, but it showed people a different way things could be done. Because everybody's like, oh, sue them, get some clothes. And we're like, no, we playing chess. We're not.
Right.
And
Exactly.
they saw it the same way. They had no interest in, let's go to court and just here's some money and be quiet. It's no, we want to develop a partnership together. And it's been dope again for me to be leading some, maybe 1/3. We have 3 different tracks that we're pursuing. For me to be leading one of those, and the president's like, Cav's got it. Go do your thing, just report back, So it's been pretty dope.
And what was their response to that? Like, so with our letters and shield and whatnot being on their clothing, I know it wasn't in the States, but what was their response?
Essentially, their response was it slipped through, some of their checks and balances. I'm not sure, what that looks like. And, since we have those conversations, it said they've revisited and revised their processes. And so that's a big part of also the cultural competency piece of understanding. You can't just use, anybody's letters. You need to do some research on it. And then there's like, oh, we got this whole, MPHC council. There's a whole bunch of us out here. So it's not just the Sigma thing. We want to make it clear. Yeah. Yes, this has impacted us. There's 8 other orgs out here, millions of members that are looking at this and how can we educate. And then they had them on their staff. Actually the young brother, one of the young brothers in the meeting was Alpha from Morehouse, who worked there. Wow. And he was a fashion designer, concept designer. And he was in the meeting, he said, you know what, I have this job because of a member of Phi Beta Sigma. And so it became like a full circle conversation, a real educational teaching moment for them. And then here we are.
No, that's super cool. And I mean, Greek, we everywhere. So, and it's good to have that brother there because he was able to speak to the importance of it and, and surely, get things, what they said they had to revisit. That design. So good job there. So no, certainly want to go into what we just seen. Speaking of Greeks and all of that, shout out to Kamala Harris, member of Alpha Kappa Alpha. She's also an alumni of Howard University. So what's your thought about, and not to get political and to even ask you your political stance on it, but what's your thought about, the recent debate that we saw? What was your response to the debate?
It was very American.
Okay.
It was a dumpster fire. But at the end of the day, like I've been saying since 2017, we got the president that we deserve in America. We try to put on this facade like we're this polished country and we deserve better. That debate was American politics at its finest. It was trash, but it was. I was sitting there talking to my wife, and I'm like, this is who we are, because when we're not on TV, this is the interaction that's happening every day, online, in person. Just our president is just a disgrace, man. There's levels to it. I don't want to make it seem like they were both equal. That Trump is trash. I praise Joe Biden's restraint, and especially when he brought up his sons. The mic might have came off, or he might have got the keep talking. Got that finger like keep talking.
Right.
I was like, man, that dude is better than me. I couldn't have done it. I could not. You don't call my son a crackhead right there on the debate in front of the world.
No, he kind of said he said some crazy things, man. But that was definitely one of the lowest blows. And I didn't catch it in his live moment. I may have walked away, but I definitely caught it. It's been playing, just like the stand down and stand by and all that crazy shit. I didn't even hear that, but as in replay, it was right there in plain sight. So that's crazy. So this election, for those that's watching and listening, make sure you vote. It's truly important, man. And Kevin, just go ahead.
I was going to say, the point that I think people are downplaying with this, they're saying just vote, or they're just talking strictly about Trump or Biden. But Trump made the point himself on the debates, talking about by the time he's done with this term, he'll have appointed 300 federal judges. That's scary. And so when we tell people to go vote, you're not just voting for the president.
Absolutely.
Just thinking about, just for an example, back in 2014, we started a partnership with Phi Beta Sigma and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to bring more Black folks to the parks. They have money. We got the Sigma Beta Club, perfect marriage. What happens? Trump got in office. He got rid of the head of the Department of the Interior, and now the program is in shambles. And so it's stuff, all of those types of heads of those federal agencies are appointed by the president. So it's not just his role, it's the Supreme Court, it's these federal judges, these heads of these federal departments. It's all of that. So I think that's something we have to keep poking a little bit more, and not just limited it to, Trump or Biden. It's not just as cut and dry as that. I don't care who you like. I mean, at this point, if you go Trump, you just a pure flat out racist. That's at the end of the day. There's no conservative or liberal in that. That's just racist or not, in my opinion.
No, I agree with you, man. Trump is terrible. He's horrible. He's someone to me that is definitely not. Maybe he is finessing the game, but I usually say,
he's finessing it. He's truly finessing the game.
I was going to segue, but I probably messed my own segue up because no, he is finessing the game, but not in the positive way. Because really, on this platform, what I like to do is bring on folks really who is finessing the game and in the highest level of their craft. Seriously, so we're not the show yet, or a podcast yet, where people are binging down my emails like, "Hey, I want to get on. I want to get on and promote." There's some, but the good part about it is folks that I'm actually wanting to talk to. So reaching out to you is saying, hey, you're somebody who I've been looking at that's been finessing it. Again, not just in the last 30 days or the last year and your role with Phi Beta Sigma, but again, 10 years ago, I got you on track record, really taking track of my life and moving it into a right direction. And not that it was in a different direction, but just keeping me on path because I was about to be put out. So again, finessing the game that you've been doing is why I want to have you on. And those people that have been finessing the game, for you, I want to know. So who is that person for Kevin that you say, man, he's finessing, she's finessing the game? We ask all of our guests this, and it's not that it's a person that you emulate or try to model after, not necessarily, but somebody who is finessing the game, and you go, hey, famous, non-famous, but who is that person for Kevin Davis?
Man, I usually have an answer for everything. Let me think about this for a second. Who do I feel is killing the game right now, finessing the game?
For those who are watching, I'll take a sip while he do that. You know what? And as a Capricorn, I know you do hold people to the highest level. Shout out to the Capricorns.
And that's the thing. I don't believe in false praise.
Here's what I'll tell you about the Capricorns. Capricorns will always, for those who's watching and listen, quick segue. I had your Detroit girl, even though she moved when she was 6 years old. But I had your Detroit girl on a couple of episodes ago, Hope Flood, who's from Detroit. And we talked about her being a Cancer and stuff like that. But Cancer straight shooter, and she's from the Midwest, so that's a double whammy. You from the Detroit area, but also a Capricorn. Capricorns, to me, dog, and I probably said this to you before, you motherfuckers either got a plan or you executing a plan. Always. There is no downtime.
There is no downtime.
I know for you, trying to find that person who's finessing the game is definitely high standard, probably.
Yes. Like I said, I do not believe in false praise. And the person I will say, no bias, but happens to be from Detroit as well as a member of Phi Beta Sigma, is our frat brother, Marcus Collins. Marcus pledged at University of Michigan in 98, fall 98. And he's been in advertising the whole time. And he's worked like Steve Stout over at Translation, done some TED Talks, just got inducted into like the Advertising Federation Hall of Fame or Hall of Honors. And now he's teaching at Harvard, their extension school, teaching at the University of Michigan. That's my standard of when you own your craft, you have irons in the fire all over the place, perfecting your craft. When you hear Marcus Collins, you know he went to Michigan and you know he's an advertising guy. And he can speak that dual language when needed and get into the room, any room he wants to. So I think he's the one that I feel is finessing the game.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Well, go Marcus Collins. If you're watching this, keep finessing the game and keep doing your thing. And that's what I say, man. With Kevin, you're again finessing the game and doing your thing. So I know a Capricorn is always working on a plan. So what's next? What you working on? The pens is what I need to get too. I need to get a nice finesse media pen because that's
Man,
I got
a whole stack of ones that I designed. Like I just got some in Delaware Sigmas. Hit me up. They wanted one.
You're killing the game with the pens and such. So what's next for you, brother? If you care to share.
Yeah, other than the podcast, keeping that going. There are some professional development workshops I want to couple with that. So it's kind of like you hear it, but then here's the practice. But the other piece is I'm working on a book.
Oh,
yeah.
That's what's
I'm
up.
working on a book.
Will this be an autobiography? Will this be like a category book, or what type of book are you planning to write?
I'm still trying to figure out the angle. It's going to be on personal branding, but a big focus on networking and building relationships. And the funny thing is, I was rearranging my office here, and I found a printout of something from Target from 2011, 2012.
Oh, did it have Irm on it?
No, it was my notes. It was my notes that I kept when I was at Target. Every time I got pissed off at a leadership decision, every time I kept a note on my phone and I printed it out, and then I went and I found that file in my old Google Drive. I don't know how. And It had all these different leadership principles and things that I would not do whenever I became the director or the leader of whatever it is. And I was going through those lists and I'm like, I still do these things to this day. It kind of became my kind of like compass of how to be a dope leader and not be a trash leader like we had back in the day over there. And I'm thinking about building that into the book, kind of using that. Back then it was going to be called Managing from the Middle, because it's like being a middle manager, you just pull from both ends. But my career is progressed since then. But I think some of those stories or those thoughts, if I can find a way to weave those in, I think I already got my outline. So Yep. So yeah, man, it was a trash time, but I loved it and learned a lot from it. And without those experiences, I wouldn't be who I am now. I know where I don't want to go, and that's back to working overnight logistics. And that keeps me hustling. I don't want to go do that anymore.
No, man, that's definitely what's up. And I heard you say being progressive, and I thought progressive initiative. Are you still involved in something like that? Because it seemed like that had trickled down here in the Delta area here in Texas, which I'm also happy to announce, or not announce, but the Gulf Coast region and the Great Lakes region is coming together with a project, or is formulating a project. Have you heard of that?
No.
Okay, so I'll employ you with that information a little bit later.
Okay.
But we partnered up with some stuff or with that region, so that's really good. But progressive initiative, wasn't it something that you were doing with the word progressive? Or
yeah, I launched Progressive Greek back, and it's funny because I launched that while we was at Target. We would work overnight.
Progressive Greek.
We would work all night from whatever till 7 in the morning. I would go home and I would learn InDesign and Photoshop. And I taught myself in 6 months, launched Progressive Greek magazine. And I did that for maybe 5 or 6 years. And then the landscape in Greekdom kind of changed. And it went, Progressive Greek was about focusing on the accomplishments and happenings from the alumni perspective, because collegiates get all of the news and things like that. But when you become a grad member and you transition into a grad chapter, you don't hear about it. So my thing was, let's keep promoting it to highlight the members. And then like everything kind of shifted, where it went from, let's celebrate all of these different people, into it became a bragging sport. This what we doing, what y'all doing. And it's just like, I didn't want to be a part of that anymore, where it's like, I'm arguing with people on my posts, like, well, you're not posting enough about this person and this group and this and that. I'm like, man, like, we're not getting paid for this. But if you have something to share, send it to us. It just became like this. It's just like the landscape shifted.
Yeah. And
then, as other websites popped up, and, I think the only one that's been consistent, and it's been cool seeing his growth, is Watch the Yard. Young Cap, I think he's out of Minnesota, I believe. But Watch the Yard is probably the only thing from around that era that's been consistent with what they put out there, and everything else is just kind of come and gone. And so the thought behind Progressive Greek it's kind of expanded into the League of Leaders. So it's taken the letters off, but how can we still promote growth and development through the people that want to receive that and tell those stories? And most of them happen to be in the D9. So sometimes you got to change the packaging on it to make more traction, and, you know, stuff I learned as a marketing person.
No, absolutely.
You know,
you got to put the medicine in the candy.
There you go. You know, I'm not in it for the bragging rights or, you know, to bicker and argue and say, well, we doing this, where y'all at? And it's just like, no, I'm trying to raise the greater good. I don't care about all of that stuff. We all doing great stuff out here, but how do we?
But Funny Greek stuff, which you are an administrator of, Funny Greek stuff on Facebook, that group has been around and has seen some highs and lows.
Yeah.
So you've seen a lot of stuff being a part of that group. And again, as administrator, what have you seen? Well, not that question. My question is, what do you say to people where they say, okay, I'm going to speak to the HBCU, but what do you say to those people that say that Black fraternities and Black sororities don't matter? As much this day. So I'll complete that thought. As much this day, because they at some point mattered for people, but there's been some talks about Black colleges,
like the relevance of it.
Subject, the relevance of it. So what is your, because as the kind of head of the marketing guy, seeing things and constantly creative or concepts around the brand of Phi Beta Sigma.
Yeah.
What are you seeing, or what would you say to those that say, hey, that don't matter no more? Nobody cares about being Greek.
Well, I think what it is it's not as how do I want to call it? It's not as just anybody can just go join, and it's not, those days are kind of gone where it's just everybody was just joining for the sake of it. And so now you have people that are joining that really want to be members and not just joining because their friends did it or things like that. And so I feel like there's an argument to be made sometimes when people say, you know, they're not relevant, because sometimes we spend too much time on the things that don't matter, or we spend too much time promoting the things that don't matter. And I say this as a communications person and marketing person. If you're not highlighting the great things that your organizations are doing or you're doing in your chapters, and the only thing we're seeing are videos of step shows or just like funny memes and things like that, then I'm looking at it like, well, you don't even have to be an organization for that. Mm-hmm. But I'm seeing now, like I said, I've been an administrator in that group for a while. And the reason I did that was quality control, because Sigmas and Zetas was taking hits out there. And it was a big group. It's like 13,000 people. Sigmas and Zetas was taking hits. It was like open season. So I jumped in there and it was like brand control. Let's control the narrative. Y'all not gonna be talking about us any kind of way. Okay, now that we got that together, we're not gonna be talking about these other orgs this type of way. So it became like we take care of home first and we're gonna rise to tie it together. And so the group is still around, but it's quiet, which is a good thing. It's a good thing. That means there's not as much nonsense happening. And so being in these kind of high visibility areas, I see a lot of the nonsense going down. You don't see as much foolishness on like Greek shenanigans and all this. They're going to always find something to post.
Exactly. Because people are going to always do something to.
That's the thing. People will always do something, but the quantity is down now. And so I think now that people are home now, that's helping this year to refocus on the organizations. You're not out where things can happen that end up being posted on social media. So there's that piece. But I do see more people spending more time talking about voter education, having intellectual debates about things. So I think for a while we just focused on the wrong stuff. And then some of those people, it doesn't matter what you tell them. I can go down a list of 1,000 things, they still complain. So you got to pick. When you ask that question, my first thought was, sometimes, fuck them. You guys put the middle finger up. Right. But then as a comms person, I realized you feel that way because we haven't articulated what you should be thinking or sharing what we've been doing. So I get your argument. It's like a duality of sometimes, and I got to pick which side of the fence I'm going to be on and not just be petty, respond.
Right.
But yeah, we still matter.
I understand.
We still matter.
Absolutely.
We still got tight up on our recruitment overall across the D9, and not just take anybody that's that has the time and the money and the grades or whatever requirements and get in. So, but I think we're getting there.
Yeah. So 18 years.
Yes.
18 years of Phi Beta Sigma, man. And so no matter what they can think now, what was your perception 18 years ago? What made you join Phi Beta Sigma?
And so
keep it short. I know it's the whole story.
No, it's not. It's it's actually pretty short, man. I knew I've always been a team player, and I like being a part of different organizations and things like that. Growing up, playing sports and all that, and then by the time I got to Eastern Michigan, I kind of looked at the whole spectrum. I wasn't one of those people that's like, oh, when I was 10, I ain't know nothing about it. I just knew some squiggly letters and some family members.
I thought it said OBE.
Right.
So ZOB. I was like, what's all this crazy shit?
But when I got to Eastern Michigan, when I kind of looked around, I'm like, all right, all this other stuff isn't for me. And I met the Sigmas. I'm like, these some cool dudes. And then I started spending more time in Detroit. And then my boy joined first. He came to the grad chapter, spring 01. And so I got cool, started hanging around them. And I'm like, I like what y'all doing. It was all in the nonprofit community space, about the people, all of that. And that's all I saw. And that resonated with me. I'm like, I don't want to be out here chasing the little girls or trying to put up this little stereotype. This group resonated with me. And then going through history, I'm like, I can rock with this, in line with who I was. And, 18 years later, got my life member status now. And I don't feel that. Right, man. That was my goal.
Listen, dude.
For a while to have the means to
don't know the feeling.
But yeah, no, 18 years later, man, I'm still very confident in, my decision. And I'm as picky with people with their letters of recommendation as I was way back then. Everybody can't be a Sigma. It is not for everybody. Everybody ain't built for it.
Definitely, man. Shout out to my boy Leon who communicated and set all this up. Remember 5 Beta Sigma. So
he didn't say that.
He's trying to keep it all professional.
Right. We could have broke them laws down a long time ago.
No, shout out to Leon, man. He's from the side chapter at Clark, Atlanta.
Okay.
So, full circle. I actually wrote his recommendation. So if you talk about recommendations, I was living in New York at the time. And I was like, I don't want to write this kid recommendation. I don't even know nobody from the side chapter. So I'll write the recommendation because he and I was working together on some other projects. He's a good dude. But yeah, so I wanted to ask you that right off the back of why sometimes in some cases in certain conversations said that Black fraternities and sororities aren't necessarily relevant. So I detest that because we're definitely relevant, and so is HBCUs, man. But listen, Kevin, one of the dudes who's been doing this thing for so long, I continue to support you, brother, and everything that you got going. I can't wait for the League of Leaders to start back, and I can keep tuned in. It's honestly the only other podcast I was listening to. Just because here's the thing, like just real talk, I wanted to listen to somebody I can relate to, somebody I knew, and I've listened to a few, but it's not somebody I know. I really wanted to listen to yours because I'm like, yo, I know this brother. And that's the same praise I sing when other Sigmas go, yeah, that guy Kevin Davis changed the motherfucking hand sign. I go, oh Lord.
Man.
Did you receive some backlash about that? And he talks about that.
And so, like I said, I got in
because you was responsible for changing the hand sign. You was responsible for changing. Oh yeah,
well, I wasn't changing this, picking one because we had 2 of them out there in a while. I'm like, we got to get consistent with it. But back in 2018 when we rolled out the plan and said this is what's going to be effective January 1st, 2019. Yeah, dude. I was probably one of the most hated men.
These were conversations that we were having. I remember these types of conversations we would have in the break room at Target or on the floor about branding, about, okay, are we going to do the moon? Are we going to do the cow? I mean, the coyote? Are we going to do the blue fire? I mean, with the hand thumb out. We talked about this stuff. That's why I thought it was amazing. It was perfect because I knew this brother, wasn't someone who just kind of got the role. He literally talked this branding stuff. Yeah. Often. And so to see you there, I was like, I trust him. I trust the whole branding. And I was talking to a frat brother the other day who was saying, man, the fraternity has never looked this clean for years. Like everything you can find it. The tools that we have to get brothers from undergrad to grad chapter, the career opportunities, the blueprint, the revamping of the Sigma Exchange, like everything looks so good. And I don't know how much of that you have an influence on, but I just say that once I start seeing your name a part of the branding shit is when it started to look crisp and clean to me as well, man. So I just say to you, that stuff I remember, you talking about and being very passionate about. So to see you rocking it out, if it was changing letters, I'm in Arkansas, so it's thumbs out. Right. Thumbs out. But now I'm like, Kevin said.
But you know what though?
But
you know what? It the bigger thing again, it was talking to people. Like, I hear your perspective, but just hear me out too. And over time, brothers like, all right, we get it. We get it. It's about consistency. To your point, you asked about the relevance. When you have chapters that function very differently, that's when that perspective piece came and said, well, that could be your experience over there. And I get why you might say that, but over here doing the damn thing. Mm-hmm. And so how do we make this consistent all across the board? And then it really, at the end of the day, was just make sure we had the right brothers who had the professional talents and willing to bring them into this, into the fraternity to move us all forward. And, we're trying to rise the tide together. And that's where we at. And since Centennial, man, I feel like we didn't, we lead the league and can't nobody touch us. I ain't think about none of them other cats. They can't touch us. They can't do nothing with us.
Go Mob, bro. Go Mob. Kevin Davis, man. Listen, brother. Thank you so much for joining the podcast for Finesse Media Season 3. Again, you're a finesser now and someone, again, who continues to finesse the game, man. So I leave you in that piece and saying, go Mob, continue to do your thing, brother, and we're going to support you. Before you get up out of here, let our listeners know who's listening and watching how they can keep up with the Kevin Davis brand.
Yep, you can follow me on Instagram, Kevin Davis Brand. Go to the website, kevindavisbrand.com, or you can also check out the leagueofleaders.org if you want to follow the podcast and check out the latest episodes.
That's what's up. Well, listen, brother, go Mob. I'll leave you in peace.
Go Mob.
And I'll definitely talk with you soon. You got to come back on the podcast, man, and chop it up. Perhaps we'll be a co-host bamming it out. And maybe we'll get Michael Crystal on here. Call your boy, man.
Oh, yeah. Hey, yeah. I told him he's going to be on my podcast, but I'm going to wait till he get out of office. I'm going to wait till he get out. Oh, but no, definitely. Yeah, we can get on there. We can chop it up.
All right, man. Well, listen, man, go Mob. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be back with something new on the Finesse Media Podcast Season 2. Kevin, man, bro.
Appreciate this, man.